Welcome learners. In the last session, we did in detail about the priority grid list. We decided upon what should be the priority of the task and then created the grid in which you can select one item. Now in this session, I'm going to introduce to you on more commonly look-alike widgets, for example, buttons, and also adding a time picker. What's a time picker? Let's say you want to achieve this task at this stipulated duration. Hence, we can add a time picker into the app which will be letting the user pick the stipulated duration in which he want to achieve that task. More upon, if you look at any well-furnished app, you'll notice the designs, buttons and icons remain constant throughout the app. Well, it would be hard to find an app unless terribly designed that the app would have a blue color button at one screen and a black color button on the other one. How we can have this particular feature, what goes behind creating these designs, we're going to learn in this entire session. So let's get started. Let me lay down the blueprint wherein I'm going to do a bit amount of design changes and we will be incorporating a time picker. So let's say you intend to have a task that has got a definite time. In that case, you can show a pop-up in which a user can select the time and then he can save that time into our app. So let's say once you click on this, the pop-up will come. Let's say you select a time as 3 p.m. and 45 minutes. Then that shall be getting displayed into the text field. What I'm going to do is also improvise on the button. Presently, the button is way too much rounded and the design that we are following, it's kind of rounded rectangle but not as rounded as you see in my app. Let's try going about my add task screen. Let me remove this and inside the common widget create display time text field. What I'm trying to show to you is I'm kind of creating custom widgets for every small thing that helps me in not elongating my code on the add task screen, and I just want to use this text field as one of the input fields into the add task screen. So in this way you shall be having a much more cleaner approach. Let's say here we start off with a stateless widget. And what do we intend to show is a text form field. What I'll do is I'll see that it's going to be disabled, which basically means you cannot type inside it, and hence the input decoration will have the color to be white and the disabled border is going to show up with a width of 2 pixels and color as white. Next, what I'll try and do is let's see first how this thing appears, then I'll try to make the changes onto the app. So here we are, display time text field. When I do a hot reload, this entire text field now shall be displayed on my UI and it kind of looks like this. Over here, what I'll try and do is a hot reload and let me change this to false. Yeah, but this color does not fill up. Basically I'll make this as true and do one more round of hot reload. Yeah, this kind of looks good, but however this edges, they don't match. That's because over here I did not mention the border radius, and I'll make it as 10. Yeah, so this perfectly matches. Now I can set up a hint saying pick time. Then to the left side I can set up an icon as prefix icon, icons dot calendar, or let me just put time. When I do a hot reload, it shows me this particular icon, and when I tap on it, it does not allow to show up the keyboard. Well, what I'm going to next to do is on the tap, I'm going to show the pop-up for displaying your this thing. When you're going to click inside, I'm going to show that pop-up for where you can pick up your time. So here is my future as show timer pop-up, and I'll mark it to be async. What I'll do is over here have something as time of day and selected time equal to time of day, wherein hour I'll show it as 1 and minutes I'll show it as 15. Next, what I'll try and do is time of day picked time equals await show time picker. Now do you notice it takes two parameters? The first one is the context, the second one is the initial time. So let me put over here build context, and instead of initial time, I'll just put selected time. What I'll next do is wrap this in something called as a gesture detector, because I can understand the tap event and then I'm going to call show time picker, or in fact show timer pop-up. Let's see how does this thing work. Let me tap on it, and in fact it shows the time picker. What I'm going to next do is try to move around this. So what do you notice? First, it allows me to set up the hours, then I can set up the minutes and click on OK. So basically here let's try to use our logger utils and check if we are able to understand what time the user is actually picking. I'll copy this, put it over here, and inside my show timer pop-up, I'll put picked time equals to this picked time. Now let's try doing a hot reload to check if this thing works or not. And yes, it says 14:14:15. Well, what we're going to try and do is over here using the 24 hours clock? Well, we can try and play along and also display as a 12-hour clock. But for now, I'm very fine with displaying the 24-hour clock. Now, if someone wants to change it to 9 a.m. and 41 minutes, it just displays the correct duration. Hence, a 24-hour clock works perfectly fine. Next, what I'm going to try and do is having a text editing controller and over here I'll put this as display time controller. I'll assign this controller to the text form field. Now, if my picked time is not equal to null, then what I'll try and do is set the selected time equal to picked time, and then I'll also display the time on the UI. I forgot to put .text and hence it was not allowing to show the .to string. Let's try and see if now I can display the time duration onto my text form field. I'll set it as 11 a.m. and 21 minutes. And yes, time of day 11:21 is being visible on the text form field. Now, what I'll try and do is changing this button. In order to do so, I'll again go to the common widget, create a new Dart file and have my custom button widget. Now over here, I want your close attention to be there. That's because in my custom button widget, I am going to use the exact same button, that is elevated button, but change its behavior and look alike. Let's say we have this elevated button and we know that the elevated button comes with this on press, on which once you tap on it, we get a callback followed by our text. We'll say add task. Well, this is as usual, and if I would try to remove this particular button, let me comment it out and put our custom button widget, then it won't be having even a significant difference onto the app. Now, what I'll try and show it to you is how I can customize this design and suit it according to our style. So let's put over here something called as a style, in which I can do n number of customizations. So I'll put over here button style and change the background color as material state property dot all, and I can mention that I want to change the color to color constants dot k purple color. Now same I'll copy paste and set it for the foreground color. Just ignore that this property got deprecated. It shows this line, that's because over here it's saying that this is deprecated and I should be seeing something called as a theme color. Well, we're going to reach there soon, but for now let's stick to the deprecated one only because it's going to work perfectly fine. When it comes to the foreground color, what I would want is still to be black. My bad, I would want it to be white. Now I can also set the text style. I'll copy this, paste it here, set this as text style, colors dot black. Well, let's try and see how much difference does this make. Well, did you notice now the color is purple and the text color is white? That's because we have set up the foreground color. Let us try to ignore this text style and you'll notice that it turns into perfectly white. Let it be in this way. Next, what I intend to do is changing the shape. So I'll take this, paste it here and change this to a rounded rectangle border. Wherein in rounded rectangle border, I'll say the border radius to be 10. And did you notice it changes to a rectangular border with the border radius 10, which matches with all the other rectangles or all the other fields which you have into the app. Next, you might be wondering about how do I identify the tap event. So let me just teach you something called as a void callback on button press. So what I'm going to do is in the constructor make this on button press as mandatory. So what will happen? If you press this button, we know that it's going to go to this on press, but this time we are going to call this void callback, and this time you'll notice that the add task screen shows me an error. So what I'll try and do, I'll implement the void callback, and over here with the help of my logger and with the help of my tag, we shall be able to understand that my button was pressed. Add task button was pressed. Let me do a hot reload. Go on to the app and click on the button. Yes, it says button, that is add task button was pressed. But do you see over here this text is hard coded? What I'll try and do, as I've done on button press, in which on the constructor I made this to be mandatory, I'll put a string as button text and mark it to be mandatory in the constructor. In this way, I can use this button wherever I would want. So this hard coded now becomes the button text, and as soon as go towards this particular screen, I will be now asked upon one more parameter, that is button text, as add task here, and you'll notice that the button changes to add task here, I deliberately added the word here to show to you that this time it's not hard coded inside the button. In fact, we are using as a custom parameter and passing that particular text. Let me remove here and show you how the button will look like. Well, this kind of looks clean. The only thing is, I would now move this entire validation from this filled button to my custom button, and then we will be having a bit amount of space in between the two items. Well, if I tap on this, you'll notice that the bottom overflow shows up. Let me show it to you how we can fix even this error. So I'll take this entire padding, or in fact this entire form, and wrap it in a single child scroll view. Now when I try to do a hot reload, you notice that when I tap on it, this part of the screen becomes scrollable, and now the entire screen is kind of flexible to the UI. In this way, what we have removed is all the haphazards which could be causing a UI issue, and we eliminated even the button rounding along with the custom button implementation. Hopefully the design was very satisfying and you would be implementing much more better way into your app. Next session, I'm going to talk about how we can implement the delete and the edit functionality on the display task screen. Well, the display task screen doesn't suit to the eyes. That's because it's plain, bland, white color with misplaced icons. I'm going to fix all of that, but for that, you need to stay tuned and keep learning with open minds.